Town Hall.
The USA gymnasts have been celebrities this week in Denver, but this morning it was time to get down to business.
Oh, here we go.
There are many meets, many days of practice, and then there are those special days that are different, special, and critically important to these young men, and this is one of them. On this bus ride to the Denver Coliseum, they quietly go over their routines one last time. Finally, the arrival, and one last reminder of today's opponent. With the Olympics just over 1 year away, what happens today will set some of the mood and establish or destroy the fine line between confidence and hesitation. We'll leave the team now. From here, they're on their own. Their opponent, the Soviet Union. It's showtime. We are now live at the Denver Coliseum for the second day of the United States versus the Soviet Union. Yesterday was the women. Today it is the men. Soviets so far stealing the show with a strong team, but one of the bright spots for the United States has been Wes Suter. Joining me on today's telecast is Gordon Maddox as we look at this 22-year-old from Reston, Virginia. Gordon?
Wes Suter starting with a peach basket to an immediate straddle, pirouette. Wes has been a strong member here. An uprise. It's been very steady so far today. Called a Healy twirl into the immediate straddle. Little adjustment of the hands. Getting set up for his dismount. Double back off. Not a great winner, but a very solid performance.
Wes Suter from the University of Nebraska, 2 years ago the NCAA champion. Interestingly enough, his current roommate in Nebraska won the NCAA championship yesterday, Tom Schlesinger from Fort Collins, Colorado, and Nebraska. It's been quite a weekend for the two roommates.
All right, here comes his slow motion dismount. Takes it nice and high. A good, solid landing. Wes Suter.
Now for Wes Suter, the wait for the scores. You remember, of course, the story of Christy Phillips yesterday winning the all-around. We'll tell you a little bit more about that and reaction to it. As the score for Wes Suter comes up, it is a 9.75. This is the 5th event in a 6-event competition today for the men. Still to come, the high bar. As we now focus on the Soviet Union's talented gymnast, Vladimir Artemov. Interestingly enough, his hometown is also called Vladimir. He's been a member of this talented Soviet Union team for 5 years.
Artemov's claim to fame here has been his expertise in the compulsory exercises which are required during World Championships and Olympic game competition. He is just a machine in compulsories, and he ain't bad in the optionals either, as you'll see here. Very explosive, very quick with his hands.
He tied for the World Championship title on the parallel bars in 1983. So he has had fabulous achievements on this apparatus.
All right, starting in the middle of the bars. Watch this now. Very high straight arm peach basket to a handstand. Swings down to another peach basket, full turn to an immediate giant swing. And boy, he almost let that get away from him. Stritz gear handstand, straight arms all the way. Cast, back rise, pirouette. Straight press to a handstand. Here comes his dismount. Back to a hand, into an immediate back to a hand, into a piked double off. Oh, except for that step, it's a fine routine.
ABC Sports presents the United States versus the Soviet Union in men's gymnastics, live from Denver, Colorado. And so far, after 4 events, here's how the two teams stand. The Soviet Union picking up a point in each of the events, so they lead by 4 points with a total right now of 196.95. And in the all-around, it is a Soviet story of domination as well. A talented Lyukin in first place, the two-time world champion Korolev in second, and Valentin Mogilny in third. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Al Troutwig, along with Gordon Maddox. We are live with you this afternoon in Denver, Colorado. If you were with us yesterday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, you saw the enchanting story of a teenager fulfilling her promise. Chrissy Phillips winning the all-around title in the women's version of this dual meet. Of course, the Soviet Union did not hang on, but led throughout the meet to defeat the United States. Today, it's a little bit of a different story. You see, the Americans do not come in here with much optimism in terms of defeating the Soviet Union, but this is a very critical point in the growing stage of this team. Since the Olympics, they've been a team without an identity. And now, with the Olympics just over a year away, every little win, every special move that they're able to pull off on any apparatus will boost their confidence for next year's games. Now, as I mentioned, working with me is Gordon Maddox. He's been watching things behind me over at the parallel bars. Gordon, what have you seen so far today, except for the many little surprises that the talented Soviets have had for us?
Oh, the Soviets are doing an absolutely marvelous job. I can't believe how well they're performing. And the American team has surprised me. You know, talking about the image of the American team, of that 1984 championship Olympic team, 3/4 of them have retired from competition, and they're now entrepreneurs. Except for Timmy Daggett, who's seriously injured, has some sort of a neck injury. He won't be here. Scott Johnson is the only remaining member of that team that's present. The Soviets think so highly of this competition that they sent their very best gymnasts. Now, they're thinking way ahead towards the Olympic Games in 1990, but they're not forgetting about the European Championships, which they're hosting just next month in Moscow. You're going to enjoy a young man named Valery Lukin, who is new on the scene, and he is absolutely unbelievable.
Gordon, the score for Vladimir Artemov was a 9.80. You remember that routine was completed just a moment ago. There's a short warm-up period now, and then some more competition on the parallel bars. And also, remember, still to come, the high bar competition. And I am sure that we will see some more surprises, some more spectacular moves on that apparatus. The next performer for the United States is a young man from Southern California, John Amori. 23 years old, 5'4", I guess about average height for a gymnast, I'd say, from Los Angeles, California. Still warm-ups in this 3-minute period, 6 members for each team. So they do the first half, 6 competitors, 3 for each team. Then a 3-minute warm-up period because the other gymnasts have been sitting watching their teammates perform, so they've gotten a little bit cold on the side, and they're allowed to warm up once again. Amori is one of those many gymnasts who have decided to leave home and train with gymnastics somewhere else. He has switched over from Los Angeles to Tucson, Arizona, where he trains with Yuichi Tomita at the Gymnastics Center of Tucson as he attends the University of Arizona. The coach of the men's team is A.B. Grossfeld. He is chatting with Scott Johnson, the long-term veteran of this United States gymnastic team. A.B. a very calm, collected, guiding force for this American team. The Soviet coach that you see there is Leonid Arkeyev, the Soviet coach for 15 years. And he is helping his gymnasts adjust the parallel bars for their performances to come. Gordon, we have seen some fine performances on the part of the American team. Brian Ginsberg stands out. Wes Suter stands out. The Soviets have had some very surprising things. You're looking there at the welcoming sign for the Soviet Union in their own language, which looks a little out of place here at the Denver Coliseum. It says the United States versus the Soviet Union in gymnastics. But just to go back to my thought, we have been surprised by a couple of things, I think.
Well, I've been pleasantly surprised by the performances of the American team. I thought it would be an absolute blowout, and it hasn't been that at all. We don't have enough horsepower to compete against the Soviets. They're without question the best in the world. But the boys are comporting themselves very, very nicely. They're starting from a position of disadvantage. John Amori began his competition having to take a 1.0 on floor exercise because of an injury. The alternate also is injured. Brian Babcock from Southern Illinois has terrible chips in his elbows and just can't go on. So John had to work even though he couldn't tumble.
John, quote, blew out his ankles 3 weeks ago up in Montreal, and they are very, very tender, to say the least. And he was thinking about it on the bus ride over here this morning. According to the United States now trailing by 4 points, the competition in terms of a team competition is all but lost. But we did mention that there are little things, little bits of confidence that the gymnasts want to take away from Denver, Colorado.
Oh, yes, and don't forget that the American gymnasts are gaining just having the opportunity to watch these Soviet gymnasts live. They're getting inspired. They're getting very jazzed to get back into training and increase their difficulty and perform with a much more consistent approach.
First up, Arizona, John Amore. So now John Amore will prepare to mount the parallel bars. Second year on the senior national team for the United States.
And John has been around the edges of international competition for a long, long time. He trains full-time in Tucson, Arizona, but he hasn't really had the opportunity to get into the bigs, as they say. All right, here comes a Peach to an immediate straddle. Freezes his legs just a bit along the bars, which is a minor reduction. Here comes a move named after a Soviet gymnast, a Diamidov. Another Peach basket to a handstand. Front semi catch, a slight break there. He's working now from the middle to the low nines, I would guess. John just doesn't get enough international competition to really be ready emotionally for these things.
How his ankles stand that dismount, I'll never know. But with a 1.5 on the floor exercise, a break on the pommel horse, John Amore has to be fairly satisfied, I think, with that routine on the parallel bars.
All right, here comes John's dismount. Big swing. Takes it up as high as he can. Keeps his legs straight. This makes it a pike double back somersault off. And you notice he did land primarily on his left leg.
So John Amore will wait for his score. As we begin the second half of this parallel bars competition, John Amore with a 9.55. This ABC Sports exclusive, the United States versus the Soviet Union, is brought to you by Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant. The wide stick gives you the edge. Speed Stick by Menon. By McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. By Pert Plus. Shampoo plus conditioner in one. So you just wash and go with Pert. And by Kellogg's brand Flakes cereal. We are live in Denver, Colorado, the mile-high city, the site of this dual meet between the Soviet Union and the United States. Much more to come.
Big cactus. No? No. Too big. Are you sure? It's only $280. No? All right. We'll keep looking. Come on.
Yuri Korolev, married with 2 children, one of them only 6 months old. We'll continue our shopping journey that we had with Yuri last night in the hotel throughout our show. Yuri has just completed his routine on the parallel bars. Important for him individually because coming into the parallel bars, after 4 events, he was in second place in the all-around, trailing his teammate, Valery Lyukin, by 15/100ths of a point. While we're waiting for Yuri Korolev's score, we go to Scott Johnson. Surely a face that you recognize and a name that you recognize as well. He's now 25 years old from Colorado Springs, Colorado, spending so much of his time with Francis Allen at the University of Nebraska. He is a gymnast of maturity.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's really helped my gymnastics. I really know pretty much how to stay injury-free. If something does start hurting, I know I can lay off of it and have it not affect me too much. I feel like my gymnastics has gotten smarter. My training has gotten much better since I've finished my collegiate career.
Still waiting for Yuri Korolev's score. There it is, 9.90. That will help him in the all-around standings and a fine routine for him. Now, Gordon, I hear Scott talk about it, but it still amazes me that you can dedicate as much time, energy, creativity, and sacrifice so much for so long.
Me too. And he has really beefed up his parallel bar routine. Watch this now. He does a peach basket to a handstand. Here starts a giant swing into a half turn. Another giant swing into a Stutzkier. That's simply a swing with a half turn. Oh, yeah. Kato pancake. That little turnaround is called. No major deductions. Pike double off with a good landing.
Scott Johnson started off with a break in the floor exercise, but has looked really, really sharp since then. The crowd here likes it.
Hey, Yuri, how about this? A plate for the kitchen, a souvenir of the Denver Broncos?
No, it was boy. I'm gonna go. It's right.
You're right. You're right. It's not a woman's gift. Come on, we'll keep looking.
Following a conference, the crowd now reacting to the score of Scott Johnson, a 9.90.
I guarantee if he'd been from the Soviet Union, it would have been a 9.95.
Why do you say that?
He lost his home court advantage. Well, the Soviet judges are really jacking around with the scores and have been both in the women's and men's competition. The Soviet judges are throwing scores that are so high there's no way that it can't affect the scoring. Here comes Lukin. Boy, watch this guy now. Kip. Here come Thomas. Flares on the end. Come up to the handstand. There's a half turn that you just don't want to miss. Stutzkier on the end to an immediate giant cast. He swings with such flair, such panache. Another Healy twirl. Stutz handstand. Great toe point. Back to a handstand. Now watch him when he lands. He is a cat. He just nails every dismount.
First trip to the United States for 21-year-old Valerie Lukin, and it is a good one. Leading in the all-around after 4 events and doing absolutely nothing to hurt his chances now with this routine.
All right, take another look at this dismount in slow motion. A good push-off. Takes it around, and he has very strong kinesthetic sense, and he really holds his dismount.
That one on the right. I've bought that one for my wife once. Let's try that. Okay. I'm going to smell good tonight, aren't I? What do you think of that?
Yeah.
Yeah? It's good?
I like it.
He likes it.
Yes,
We'll
yes.
take it. Okay, great. Can you wrap that up? Now your wife will like it.
I knew after trying a couple of times I'd be able to find something for Yuri there on the left to bring home to his wife. Valerie Lyukin, who has impressed tremendously here in Denver, scored from the parallel bars a 9.90. He ties then Korolev on the parallel bars, and that means, therefore, they will stay separated by the same amount of points in the all-around race. Here is Dan Hayden from Amherst, New York, who, like John Omori, has done his training in Tucson.
Well, Dan was injured severely in the World Championships in Montreal, and it's been a long road back for him. He is training full-time, dropped out of Arizona State University in order to train. And boy, has it shown in his performance. He's doing so well. Swing time back semis to a catch. Stutzkier, here comes his dismount. Double off, good landing. Okay, Dan.
Dan Hayden and his coach there, Yuichi Tomita, with that routine and the 9.9 he received on the rings. Dan Hayden's score, a 9.95, nearly perfect. This was perfect. Valentin Mogilny of the Soviet Union on the pommel horse.
And if you want to watch perfect position, look at this. Look at the extension. His hips are away from his hands in both front and back. He's taking a giant travel all the way down the horse, never touching the pommels. His hips are so high, his legs are so straight. Absolutely perfect form by Valentin Mogilny.
And now live, you're watching him mount the parallel bars. From Moscow, the 21-year-old has also impressed.
You'll see the same style here. There's a Diamidov on the end. Giant swing with a full turn on the end. There's a Healy twirl. Look at the toe point. Look at the leg extension. You watch a swing with a half turn called a Stutz or Stutzkier. Now here are a series of back tosses to handstand. Perfect. Bang, like a carbon copy. And a piked, a tucked double off. Boy, what a performer.
Valentin Mogilny with a reputation of doing so well in all the events except for one. He hasn't failed yet today.
All right, another look at the dismount. He's just come out of a back to a handstand. Good push off, takes it up nice and high, spots the mat early, and has just that tiny hop on his landing.
That concludes the parallel bars competition. Valentin Mogilny waiting for his score. Still to come, of course, the high bar. We'll give you that score in a moment, but first, let me tell you what's coming up next on ABC Sports. Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure will take us to China for a dramatic 1,000-mile journey down China's upper Yangtze River. It is treacherous.
On 2 at 4 on KATU Channel 2.
We are back live in Denver, Colorado. ABC Sports coverage of the United States Soviet Union men's gymnastics dual meet. Al Trautwig along with Gordon Maddox. Yesterday was the women and Christy Phillips' exciting all-around victory. Today it's the men, and after 5 events, the Soviet Union has increased their lead even more, 246.25 to 241.85. The all-around standings are also being completely dominated by the Soviet Union. We are being treated to 3, well, you'd have to say, of the best gymnasts in the world.
No question about that.
Korolev and Mogilny. Korolev, the only two-time world champion.
And Lukin.
Earlier on the parallel bars, you remember that we spoke of the routine of Yuri Korolev on the parallel bars. This is what it looked like.
There's a giant swing with a full turn on the top. Another giant swing to a handstand. He is just so precise. He doesn't really raise the hackles on the back of your neck. He just never makes a mistake. A precision machine, finely tuned. Getting set up now. All right, here comes a back to a hand. Perfect position out of his Stutzkehr. And here comes his piked double off. And again, that cat-like landing.
The score for Yuri there was a 9.90. And he was not able to make up any room in the all-around standings against his teammate Valery Lukin. So we switch to the most explosive, the most dangerous, the most exciting of gymnastics events, the high bar.
You got all that right. I keep saying I'm so glad I don't coach any longer. I couldn't be in the gym watching these release moves every day. Life's too short. Artemov is the table setter here. He's the first man up for the Soviets. His job is to get a high score to increase the other gymnast scores. One-arm giants into an immediate Tkachov. Very difficult. All right, there's a Stalder shoot. And another Tkachov, this time into an immediate Ginger. Getting set up for his dismount now. 30 giants. Popped out. Be some form of a full twisting double flyaway. Layout full twisting flyaway. Touchdown. That should cost him about 5/10 of a point if the judges take the whole thing.
Vladimir Artemov. Gordon, you get a chance to talk about the middle part of the routine that you were mentioning.
Oh, Robert.
Well, it's a dynamite routine, except for the touchdown. Here comes the center of the routine. That's the Tkachov. Two-hand Tkachov. Now, here's a flyaway, half-turn, re-grasp. Those are the release moves that have made this such a dramatic event. All right, here comes the dismount. Now, he is really in good position. He just comes out a little early and is short on the rotation, has to touch down to keep from falling. Minor mistake, but a major deduction.
Artemov waiting for his score. 9.55 for Vladimir Artemov. So that touchdown really did hurt him.
According to that, he should have received a 10.5 for the routine, though.
Something's wrong. Now back to the American team and Robert Brown of Addison, Illinois.
Very steady performer. He assists Coach Roethlisberger up at the University of Minnesota, who's had such a strong collegiate program going. Stalder. There's his Tkachov. Oop! Took it back a little too far. Couldn't reach the bar. He has to release that a little earlier in order for it to go up rather than back in order to keep within reach of that high bar. Now, when he comes off, it's an automatic 5/10 of a point deduction. He has time to rechalk his hands, kind of regroup his mentality, then go back and start from the point at which he fell. He cannot repeat the move that he fell on.
Crowd being supportive of Robert. We had a sellout yesterday. We have a large crowd today. And I'll say one thing. They know their gymnastics, these people in Denver who have come out to watch.
All right, finishing his exercise now. There's his Tkachov. To an immediate half turn, flyaway, recatch. He'll take a jam into his inverted giant. Hop out pivot and get set up for his dismount. He's trying a layout double flyaway.
Nothing you can really say to Robert Brown, the teammates of his slapping him on the back.
All right, now watch how he takes this a little bit late, and his trajectory is back over the bar rather than up, and that caused the mistake. All right, here we come, the dismount. Layout double flyaway. Again, just a little bit overturned causes that big step.
And the score for Robert Brown, 9.05. Now, for those of you that are watching along with us on ABC Sports on the West Coast, we're going to have to pause a few seconds to allow the rest of the network to rejoin our live coverage from the Denver Coliseum. We'd like to welcome those of you who watched Jay Haas's exciting playoff victory in Houston to ABC Sports coverage of the United States and the Soviet Union live in Denver. After 5 events, we are now in the 6th. The Soviet Union dominating the United States, leading by 5 points or so as we now move to the high bar competition, the 6th and final event in our coverage. Yesterday it was the women and Chrissy Phillips' exciting all-around victory. Today it's the men. I'm Al Troutwig along with Gordon Maddox. Alexei Titonkik.
And Titonkik has been a real machine in the last 4 or 5 years of the Soviet domination of the sport of gymnastics. He is a bread and butter gymnast. He trains very light, doesn't waste any movement, saves his energy, and then comes back and really turns it on. There's a full twist into an eagle giant. Getting set up for a release. Tkachov into an immediate Tkachov. Into an immediate flyaway half-turn recatch. That is heavy stuff. Now getting set for his dismount. There it is, a layout, double twisting, double flyaway.
Titonkik with a bunch of steps after his dismount. We'll receive his score in a moment and give you more of an update as to what's been happening today. 7-0. We move now to John Amore, in Southern California, who trains in Tucson, Arizona.
And John has been a little over his head today. He's an injured ankle and has been having trouble working the landings, but they apparently feel he's strong on high bar or they wouldn't have put him up in this position. Nice release move. Another release. Straddle front semi recatch. Beautiful. Well done. Now get set for his dismount. Now remember, he has a blown out ankle, as he calls it. Double twisting, double flyaway. Hey, tell me about the ankle.
It's been an up and down day for John Amore, and a big hug from his coach Yoichi Tomita, and a great way to wrap up this dual meet for him.
All right, we'll take another look now in super slow motion at the dismount from John Amore. Now what? A whole lot is going on. A double twisting, double flyaway. Fantastic.
I'm sure that ankle hurt, but he never... that the crowd didn't appreciate very much was a 9.85. The crowd thought it was higher. Now underway the routine of Valery Novikov.
Boy, 2 Tkachovs in a row. He's their young guy. He's only about 15 or 16 years old, and they're really priming him for big things. There's a change into Eagle Giants. Hops out. Now he's going to set up for a triple flyaway. The first one we've seen in this competition. And boy, does he have that cat-like ability also. The Soviets are taking this meet very seriously. They're thinking about they're talking about the Olympic Games, but they're really thinking about the European Championships that they'll host in Moscow just next month. Important for them, and that's partly why they've brought their very best team. There's a nice lip-to-lip congratulations from Arkayev, the coach, to Novikov.
I asked that coach yesterday, Gordon, who was it more important for this meet, the United States or the Soviet Union? He said, no question about it, it's the United States. For the underdog, it's always more important. 9.90 the score for Novikov. And of course, the crowd now not understanding why Novikov is receiving a better score than John Omori. But there are 4 judges, 2 Americans and 2 Soviets. To Wes Suter, the former NCAA champion from the University of Nebraska.
Interestingly enough, to save money, one of the coaches, in fact, Mogilny's coach is one of the judges, unbiased, former NCAA champion. Oh, nice. Oh, that's a Gaylord, too. It's about a Gaylord 1.75, I'd say. For a nearly perfect landing. Now, let's take a look. He gets it so high and so far over the bar that he just can't make the length. Actually, he's in good shape. He simply didn't place his hands. He was in perfect position.
Scary moment.
Those release moves, when you go back and reconsider the fall from the release move, they're really not that dangerous. Almost every fall from a release move will put them either on their flat on their stomach or on their feet. They look dramatic, but not many injuries. Starts with his stallers.
Got it.
One-arm giant into an immediate release, which is a little more conservative. Wisely so.
Of course, when you miss on a release move, the next release move is a little bit harder.
Yes. Converted into Eagle Giants. Getting set up for his dismount now. He'll also try the triple. Let's see if he can pull it out. A little short. Getting that touchdown with the hands.
Wes Suter, a little bit of a struggle on the high bar. More competition.
Stay ahead of trouble.
Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure. Next on ABC Sports.
The score for Wes Suter, who had the break on the high bar, an 8.95. As you look at the 2-time world champion of the Soviet team, Yuri Korolev, one of our special visitors here. We decided it would be a good idea to take some of the Soviet gymnasts out for a special American dinner. We wanted to find a special place, one that said America. And in downtown, we decided upon a cozy spot that provides that true American atmosphere.
Marina, would those who want Mexican food want me to order for them? We have a little bit of everything, or?
Yes, of course, up to a taste, because we don't know anything about it.
Okay. And who is not having Mexican? Yuri.
Number 1 is what I would recommend. Let's start with some hors d'oeuvres. Would you like that?
I'm going to explain first how to do the nachos. And you just dip it in here.
The intrepid tour guide then related the food he ate in Moscow.
Lots of beets and things, and then you dip bread in it. Yeah, that was great. That was really good. What is that?
It's nachos with bacon.
Nachos with bacon? Yuri, these are not spicy at all.
Marina chickened out and ordered fried shrimp, while I taught Yuri how to eat his hamburger.
Now this goes on top of there. Now you hold it like this. There you go. Now Marina, he has to use his hands for this. He has to pick. No? Can't do it? It's too big.
The bad news was being tabulated.
$1,249 rubles. Right. Yeah. Here we go.
It was a fun evening as the Soviet gymnasts sampled fine American cuisine.
Everybody full? More than full? Good. That's the way you're supposed to be when you leave a Mexican restaurant.
Sorry. Here, would you like some? Back to the high bar. Gordon, would you like some?
No, thank you.
We had a good time. I'll tell you, I think they like the Mexican food, even though Yuri Korolev went for the hamburger. He did try some nachos. We had a very good time. Yes,
Not bad.
They're crunchy. And the coach was there as well. Gordon, when you talk about Yuri Korolev, you're talking about a special gymnast, one that comes along so infrequently. Can you put in perspective all the things, the 2 world championships, all the titles, all the new moves that he's been able to establish in his career?
Easy, in 2 words, no mistakes. We said once before the last time we worked that he didn't really excite you that much. He just simply doesn't make a mistake. He's got good work. He repeats it time after time. He doesn't try to perform in competition what he doesn't do in practice. He is marvelous. A coach's dream. Again, except for the bent elbows there is absolutely no mistake in this. Fly away, full turn, recatch. Nice full twisting double flyaway off. And again, that cement-like landing. Over and over, it never changes.
You know, if you do enough events like this and you look enough athletes in the eye, you know that the true champions have a special look in their eye. Yuri Korolev has that special look.
Absolutely. All right, take another look at the dismount. Takes it up high, layout, real tight form, full twisting, double flyaway, and boy, the landings. And you can take it to the bank. You could just rerun the film in competition after competition.
Yuri Korolev will wait for his score. Brian Ginsberg will be coming up next for the United States. And you want to talk about great performances for the U.S. today. There is Brian Ginsberg. The score for Korolev being posted, a 9.95. Brian had one of those little hair things that come down the nape of your neck earlier this week. I don't know what they're called, but anyway, the team asked him to cut it off. And, you know, in the old Samson story, that makes a man weaker, but not in the case of Brian. He has been very strong today.
There's a full twisting one-arm giant. He is, I think that Korolev is one of his role models. And he, too, is a very consistent gymnast. Another release move. Legs come apart just slightly. Probably a temp deduction. Now, here's going to be another triple flyaway. And he, too, is like a cat. A little bit short on that landing, but that is really one of his strengths.
More smiles from Brian Ginsberg. He's had a good one today in Denver. Now to tell you about what's happening next Saturday on ABC Sports. What a special day we have for you. A junior welterweight fight between Hector Macho Camacho and Howard Davis. That'll be live from Atlantic City on ABC's Wide World of Sports. We'll also have from Melbourne, Australia, the World Cup of Weightlifting. And we'll have pre-race reports. Of course, we're talking about the Kentucky Derby. That'll be live from Louisville on ABC's Wide World of Sports, along with our Athlete of the Week award. And that'll all be capped off at 4:30 Eastern Time with the 113th Run for the Roses, the Kentucky Derby. 9.75 for Brian Ginsberg. Of course, Gordon, you know, this year for the first time they're not buying the roses. Well, I think for the first time in 50-some-odd years, they're not buying the roses from a small family-owned store in Louisville. They've gone to a big corporate chain, so another tradition falls away.
Boy, I didn't know that.
Yep. Valentine Mogilny for his mount on the high bar.
Now, if Korolev is a role model for consistency, here's a role model for style. I love his style. He's like a ballet performer on apparatus. Look at that. Ooh, almost did one to the teeth, which is not uncommon. Tkachov, he's playing it a little safer now. Into roll into Eagle Giants. Invert Giants, actually. Gets set up for his full twisting double flyaway. No full twister. Keep it close to the chest.
Nicely done by Valentine Mogilny.
By the time my horse gets to the starting gate, I'm worried about hanging on to my binoculars. I'm shaking so hard, I'm afraid I'm going to drop them.
What do you feel? You feel excited. You want to win.
If you don't get a little bit excited, you're not human.
One of a kind, the Kentucky Derby.
Scott Johnson of the United States next to perform on the high bar. The score of Valentine Mogilny, who last performed here in Denver, was a 9.9.
And watch this move coming up. It's called a Higgins roll. Out of this one-arm giant, Higgins roll into Eagle Giants. Good composition. Two one-arm giants now to his release. A Genger, flyaway half-turn knee catch. After a Stalder, there's a Stalder shoot. Now Scotty is also going to go for that triple giant that was unheard of a few years back. Oh, what good position. He kept it in so close that he overturned it.
He knows he came close. Let's go back a little while as we wait for Scott Johnson's score. This was the pommel horse routine of Valerie Lukin.
You don't have to know a thing about pommel horse to get a thrill out of this. Boy, is this unbelievable. Perfect position, perfect equilibrium. His shoulders and his hips are on opposite sides of his hands all the time. Now up in the pommels, off the pommels, down in the pommels. Boy, he works well. Back into his back scissor. Now he'll do a couple of front scissors. And then get it wound up again with his Thomas flares to set up this handstand to a dismount. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a 10.0. What a performance.
And one of the reasons he is leading in the all-around competition coming into this, the final event. And now here is the mount of Valerie Lukin live. Scott Johnson's score was a 9.45.
Here comes it to Kachov. A reverse heck to a catch. Boy, he takes it right out to the nth degree. Shoots to the handstand in the in-locate. Out to Eagles. Oh, full twisting flyaway full catch. Boy, is he hanging it out. And a triple flyaway, and I'll bet you he makes this landing. Oh, yes! Look out, Olympic Games.
He needed a 9.85 to maintain his lead, and I think he nailed it. While we're waiting for that score, a quick look now at Dan Hayden. Third in the all-around at the 1986 NCAA Championships. Gordon had a chance to speak to Dan about the fact that this sport can be dangerous.
Yes, it is. In fact, it's getting more and more dangerous because of the high difficulty and, the high difficult standards that the judges are looking for now. And in order to win, in order to get the 9, 9, and 10 scores, to beat the Russians, to be the top in the world, you have to do the difficult skills.
Dan Hayden preparing to perform, but a quick look at Valerie Lukin with another perfect 10.
I give him a 10 on that one. I was surprised to see Dan Hayden or hear Dan Hayden say that it was dangerous. Most gymnasts get repeatedly injured and say how safe the sport is. A real honest introspection.
Dan has tremendous upper body strength, and it is very, very graceful.
Now watch out. Here comes a move called a Kovacs right here. Somersault over the top, re-catch. You like it? The crowd does, and I certainly do. Shoots into a inverted, back into eagle. Pirouettes out of his Stalders.
He's had a crushed vertebra, a broken leg, and a back fracture.
And there it is, another Kovacs over the top. Oh, my.
All his bones held together that time. Dan Hayden, a happy moment for that.
Saturday on a special early edition of ABC's Wide World of Sports. He's undefeated. He's won the world lightweight title. Now Hector Macho Camacho moves up in class to face 1976 Olympic gold medalist Howard Davis live. Plus the world's strongest men at the World Cup Weightlifting Championship. And then America's premier horse race, the Kentucky Derby live. All on ABC Sports Saturday.
This dual meet between the United States and the Soviet Union is over. The Soviet Union winning here, 295.7, 289.85. Dan Hayden's score, by the way, an impressive 9.90. That gives him a fourth-place finish in the all-around. He was the highest-ranking American. The overall winner was Valerie Lukin with a 59.70. He defeated Yuri Korolev with a 59.50. In third was Valentin Mogilny, 59.1. Gordon, it was a good event for the Soviets. Did the Americans get enough optimism out of this?
I think they're looking to the future. They want to see what the new guys do, but I think it's been a good exercise for both teams.
Great crowds here in Denver for 2 days. The United States losing both of the team competitions, but what will be most remembered here is yesterday's all-around victory by Christy Phillips, the 15-year-old, the best gymnast in Denver this weekend. ABC Sports coverage of the USSR Gymnastics Special was brought to you by Sure. You can raise your hand if you're sure, because Sure antiperspirant helps keep you dry. By AC Delco. Stay ahead of trouble with AC Delco. And by Electric Shave. Electric shave does for an electric razor what lather does for a blade. Coming up next on ABC Sports, Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure presents a first-ever rafting challenge. An American expedition attempts a dramatic 1,000-mile journey of China's treacherous upper Yangtze River. That's coming up next on ABC Sports. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television. Remember, the Kentucky Derby next Saturday here on ABC Sports as you look at Valerie Lukin, the all-around champion, register one of 2 perfect 10s he had here today. With Gordon Maddox, this is Al Troutwig. Goodbye from the Denver Coliseum in Denver, Colorado.
A promotion.